everybody, it's Kelsee Briana J, and in today's video I'm going to be overviewing two new additions to Fenty's Snap eyeshadow palettes lineup. And if you all have not seen my original Fenty Beauty Snap eyeshadow video, I will have it linked here as well as down in the description box. But they came out with 8 different eyeshadows and I purchased all 8 of them back around last holiday season, and I did 8 different eye looks, I want to say, in that video. So I believe my eyes were probably really tender back then. But they only came out with 2 new additions, and the new shades that they have are number 9 Wine and number 10 Money. So these are $25. If you buy 2 of them at a time, you do get a $5 discount. So instead of spending $50 for them, you'll spend $45, which makes each palette $22.50 as opposed to $25 if you just purchased one. So keep that in mind if you are in the market for buying these, because if you buy 2, you get a little bit of a savings. This is what the packaging looks like. On the top of the palette, it has the number of the palette, and then on the back, it does have shade names. Now, when I was doing my demonstration, I forgot that these eyeshadows had shade names. So in the first look, I'm like, use this middle shade and use this shade. And then I'm like, wait a minute, these have names. So yeah, that happened. So these are mini eyeshadow palettes. They have 6 different colors in them, and in each pan is 0.035 ounces of product, or for a total amount of 1 gram of product in each palette. So they're pretty small and travel friendly. I don't know who's traveling right now, but if you are, you can take these, and they snap together on the back, which is why they call them Snap Shadows. And so if you needed to have 2 different color stories to do a complete eye look, you can work out of either side and do your eyes. So I didn't do that today. I did do an eye look per eyeshadow palette. That way you all can see the range of each one. So the names of the eyeshadow palettes are pretty straightforward as to what the color story is going to be in each one. So number 9 is Wine, and that one has a mix of shimmers and matte eyeshadows in here, and it has pretty neutral wine tones in there. And then the shade number 10 is Money, and we all know money is green, right? So that's what she gave us in this palette. So it's a mix of different tones of green as well as a pop of gold and a neutral brown. So I'm going to go ahead and insert some swatches of these eyeshadow palettes, and then I want to jump into the 2 looks that I'm going to be doing with them. And then at the end, as per usual, stay tuned and I'll tell you all my final thoughts about these. So I hope that you all enjoy, and I will check you all very shortly. Let's start off by taking this matte greenish color, pea green, right in the upper corner. Let's pop that right in the crease and then blend it on up. I'm blending right on top of my eyeshadow primer, which is the Hourglass eyeshadow primer. So I'm just taking my time, building it up and then bringing it up. Now I'm going to take this brownish taupish color, move down just a little bit, and focus that right in the crease area. So back and forth. This is going to give us some definition. I wish that they had put a dark hunter green in here so I could really get my green life on. But since they don't have that, this is all I have to really define and deepen up the crease. That's not a shimmer. If you wanted to go into a shimmer in your crease, you can. But my personal preference are matte eyeshadows through my crease and my transition. But honey, you do you. If you like to put shimmer in your crease, you do that. But that looks good to me. Next, I'm going to take this shimmery green color and pop that right on the outer corner. And I'm just taking my time and building this shade up. And I'm just going to focus that right on the outer edge and then slowly blend it over onto my lid. That applied really nicely. Next, I'm going to go into the bottom rose middle shade with a flat shader brush and begin to pack that on the lid up towards the crease. Okay, so I'm just taking my time building that color up. pretty smooth. I'm not mad. And making sure to blend that with the outer corner color. So just tap that edge so those two colors are diffused together. And I'm going to take the top rose middle shade, same brush, and begin to bring that towards the inner portion of the lid. Kind of lighten up the look just a little bit. I am using the same brush. I slightly wiped it off just a little bit so we don't have all the remnants of the other shades on it, but kind of helps to blend it a little bit better. Next, let's move into the inner corner. I'm going to take Flash Money. Oh yeah, these do have names. I forgot these have names. I just looked on the back. I'm like, oh. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, so I've been saying take this middle shade, that outer corner shade. I could have been saying the name. So I'm just going to pop that right on the inner corner. I honestly wasn't really feeling the gold right now, but I did it anyway, so I could use all the shades in here. But really, I think I would have been happier if I had just stuck with an all green eye look, but you know, sacrifices. Now let me go back into Need Receipts. I am crying at the fact that these have names. I'm going to take that right on the middle of the lower lash line. Now I'm going to take Direct Deposit and wrap that along the rest of the lower lash line and connect it to the top. Now let me add my liner and lashes, and I'll be right back and I'll show you all the finished eye look. And that's it. That is the final eye look using the Money Mini Palette. Now let's do our next eye look using Fine number 9. So I'm going to have for this color right here, Rose Spritz. And I'm going to take that, pop it right underneath my brow. Then I'm going to take Sherry Fairy and take that as my transition shade. So I'm going to focus this color on the outer corner because it's sort of dark, and then gradually begin to diffuse it upwards. So I'm starting out here and I'm moving up, and this is going to be my transition shade. Okay, so I got that going. I did have to spend a little bit more time to really blend it out and get it diffused, but I got it working. So now let me pop into Pinot Please. Pinot Please. And I'm going to take that right on the very outer corner. So boop, right in the crease. And I'm just keeping that color right there. So once you have that applied, now I'm going to go into Pop the Cork with a flat shader brush. And I'm going to pop that all over the lid. Just really blend that out. Tap it over here. Bring it around like so. So now I'm going to dip into She Bubbly. Pop that right on the inner corner. And I'm going to take that same color, pop it on the lower inner corner. And down the rest of the lower lash line, I'm going to take the shade Bottle Service. And I'm going to take that all the way across. So now let me add some finishing touches to my makeup, liner, lashes, put on a little highlight situation, and I'll be right back. So here's the finished look using the number 9 Wine palette. So I finished my eye looks, and I hope that you all have enjoyed this video thus far. Let's go ahead and close it on out by talking about my final thoughts about these palettes. So let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. These eyeshadow palettes are not expensive. They are $25 eyeshadow palettes, and for that price point, I don't have extremely high expectations in terms of the performance of them. I kind of know what I'm getting into from the jump, and so because of that, I always adjust my expectations because I know that these are fast fashion, fast makeup items, if you will. And what I mean by that is that these are not going to be products that you add into your collection and these be staple products. These are not meant to replace anything. These are not supposed to be your core items that you use in your makeup collection, in your makeup wardrobe, if you will. These are additions. So you get these type palettes when you're looking to do something a little bit fun, or if you were wanting to try a particular color story, but you didn't want to commit to something that was a more expensive price point. That's when you roll into this. Keeping all of that in mind, I am going to review these based on their price points and what I think that their main purpose is. So let's start off by talking about number 9, the last palette that I just used. And I think that my eye look turned out cute. It looks fine. It looks like something that I could just throw on for a fall evening if I just wanted to have, you know, a quick little eyeshadow look on my eyes. I was not particularly in love with the color story just because colors like this, in my opinion, can sometimes look a little bit too dreary, and on my complexion they can often read muddy. But I was able to make it work, go in with a light hand and just really maneuver and blend out these eyeshadows to get the effect that I wanted. But taking the fact that I'm not in love with this color story out of the picture, let's just talk about how this eyeshadow palette performed. I do feel like the eyeshadows in here were a bit drier in comparison to number 10, as well as in comparison to some of the other Snap eyeshadow palettes that I have. I feel like the purple color in particular was really difficult to get an even application. It applied pretty patchy. And I felt the same way with the brown, but I was able to eventually get it to work and build it up. But it did take quite a bit of time in order for me to get the eye look to be just completely in unison. And while this palette is inexpensive, I do feel like these are staple colors. So if I were you and looking at purchasing one of these Snap eyeshadow palettes, I would likely not go for the staple colors, and I would purchase some higher quality ones. Therefore, you can set up your eye look and the structure of your eye look a little bit easier, a little bit more seamless like. And I would get one of the Snap eyeshadow palettes that was a little bit more fun, because these are staple colors that you need to have in your collection. Everybody needs to have a mid-tone brown, a cream shade, a tan shade, and a purple shade. So for me, this one just doesn't work. So with that being said, moving on to number 10, which I think is the more fun color story. It has the greens in here. It's called Money. I think that it's a little bit more poppy. And if you're a person who's been scared of greens and you didn't want to invest in a big palette that was centered around the shade green, especially if you don't wear it that often, it would make sense for you to pick this one up, because you can just add it in with one of your other eyeshadow palettes that is a staple in your collection and just get that nice pop of color. You don't even have to put these all over your lid. You can take any one of these green shades and just rim it along the lower lash line. Same with the gold. If you want to do a complete eye look using this eyeshadow palette, as you all saw in the demonstration, it's definitely workable and you can do so. I did enjoy using this palette. I felt like it was very blendable and the eyeshadows had a nice pigmentation to them, and so I was able to really configure my eye look fairly quickly, and so I really enjoyed using this. So across the board with the Snap eyeshadows, I think they're pretty inconsistent, and depending on which one you get, you're going to get a different formulation almost every other time, and that was my experience initially. With these, the idea is to snap 2 of them together and use them in unison, but for me, in order for me to love my eye look, I would need to go into a tried and true eyeshadow palette that I love, so like my Viseart Neutral Mattes or my Natasha Denona Biba or something of the sort, create an eye look, and then go into one of the Snap eyeshadows and just add that pop of color. And I feel the same way about these Snap eyeshadows as I do the Huda Beauty mini eyeshadow palettes or the Natasha Denona mini eyeshadow palettes. All these mini palettes are pretty much the same in that they're not going to be the same quality as most larger eyeshadow palettes. You're going to buy them for a lesser price point, and so they're really just supposed to be fun additions to your collection. So if you have that mind frame, you won't be disappointed when you get these and you see that, oh my gosh, this is not the same as my Pat McGrath. It was not intended to be the same as your Pat McGrath. I'm just telling you that now, so you're not surprised if you do decide to get these. But I will say that I do like number 10. I think that is fun, and I will continue to use it, especially for the fall, because I think green is about to be huge. We just had a huge pink season, and I think that we're about to start transitioning into greens and olives now. So let me know what you think about these down in the comment section. Do you all like fast makeup? Products that are supposed to just be something to lift you up. You may use them for a season or two, and then after that, it's not gonna hurt too bad if you have to discard it and get it out of your collection, because you paid 20, 25 bucks for it, so it's not really something that's gonna really, really, truly stink. So let me know your thoughts on that down in the comment section, and I will talk to you guys in my very next video, which will be super, super soon. Smooches.